Welcome back into the Saints game plan as we are here at the Benson Tower studio, and we are joined now by our very special guest today, Nakia Hogan from the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com. Thanks so much for coming by.
Well, thanks for having me.
You know, it's been such a horrendously long offseason for the Saints. The tumultuous Bounty Gate scandal has just hung over their heads for so long. How much do you think we're going to see pent-up frustration or maybe the quest for redemption spill out onto the field Sunday?
I think we'll see some of that. I know early, especially with the crowd, I was talking to some of the players and the coaches today. They plan to feed off the crowd, and we know how this crowd can be here in the Superdome here. So I think it won't be as much pent-up frustration as we saw, when the team came back after Hurricane Katrina. But this is a team that rallies around its fans. So I expect to see a lot of emotion out there, and I think they'll ride the home crowd. Anything could happen. This could easily be a big game for the Saints.
Oh, and as Sean Payton says, it's all a matter of doing your job, and they'll especially have to do that defensively. Steve Spagnuolo's group out there, the new defense, and they're facing an unknown quantity in RG3. Are they up to the task?
Yeah, I think so. This team has fared well against rookie quarterbacks now. They haven't faced a guy like Robert Griffin III in some time. Cam Newton was a similar type quarterback, but Robert Griffin III, he's an elusive guy, but he's also a pocket passer. He can stand in there. But if they don't stay in their proper lanes, this is a guy who can get on the perimeter, and he has track speed. He's probably faster than anybody on the Saints' defense. So they'll have to keep this guy contained in the pocket, but also in knowing that he's a terrific passer. He's one of the best passers in college football history.
Can kill you either way, perhaps.
Right.
Well, as much as RG3 is an unknown quantity for the Saints, you could say the same thing to the effect of Steve Spagnuolo's defense as the Redskins try to game plan against him. How much do you think that element of surprise will help the Saints D?
Well, it could be some, but again, Steve Spagnuolo is a guy who's been around a long time. So, he has film on his defense. Everybody knows he's a 4-3 guy who likes to bring zone pressure. So I think Shanahan and those guys in Washington, they pretty much know Spagnuolo, but I think there'll be some new wrinkles because he's, again, his first-year guy here in New Orleans, and he has players he's not as familiar with coaching, but you'll see a lot of the zone pressures where defensive ends drop back in coverage, and sometimes don't be surprised to see a defensive tackle drop. But I expect to see some wrinkles that we didn't see in the preseason. He showed some things, but nobody really tips their hand that early.
A few surprises in there.
Right.
Let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. There's no Sean Payton. Let's start with that. We know we have Drew Brees out there. We know you got Pete Carmichael Jr. But do you expect any offensive drop-off in this first game?
Not with Drew Brees. I think he's the guy that makes all of this whole offense flow the way it does. But not having Sean will be big. But again, you have a guy in Pete Carmichael Jr. who's been there. He's been with Drew Brees for a while, and last year he picked up the play calling, and I don't think they missed a beat. If we think back to the Indianapolis Colts game and those 62 points that they put up, so they'll miss some things with Sean, but I think play calling and everything will flow pretty smooth.
And the big story with roster cuts, keeping 5 running backs, right. Chris Ivory and Travaris Cadet both on this roster. Right. Do you think, how will each one contribute, and who do you think will be inactive?
That's a great question. I talked to Travaris Cadet today, and he didn't seem to know. But I know one thing: Cadet plays all the special teams, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him active in week 1. Pierre Thomas will be active. Darren Sproles will be active, and I'm guessing Mark Ingram will be active. So that may leave Chris Ivory as the odd man out. But these guys tend to get banged up from time to time. So I think whoever's healthy down the road, that's who'll play.
So Aaron Kromer makes his debut as an interim head coach, but we all know that, he's been catching some eyes around the league.
Right.
When it's all said and done, his debut, how do you think it's all going to come out?
Well, tomorrow I think on Sunday he'll be fine, I think, against the Redskins. That's a team that they don't have the talent to kind of match up with the Saints, I don't believe, But first 6 games, the Saints have a favorable schedule. The only team on that schedule early on, I think, is Green Bay, that they may not be favored to beat. Going up to Green Bay, a team that they lost to in week 1 last year. So I think when it's all said and done, after 6 weeks, Aaron will be fine. He'll be at least 5-1. Hopefully, if a Saints fan, 6-0. So.
Well, that's good news.
They like that prediction.
All right, Nakia Hogan, Times-Picayune, NOLA.com. Thanks so much for coming by. We look forward to working with you this season.